All right, it's good to be back on yet another exciting time on the Sunday show on the book review segment. And with me in the studio is Dr. Daniel Moses, an author, who is here to talk about his new book. Doctor, it's good to have you in the studio.
Thank you so much for having me in your studio to talk about the test. I'm so super fired up and excited to be sharing all about the test.
It's a pleasure to have you here on the Sunday show,
100%.
the number one show in Lagos.
100%.
All right, so let's talk about your book. Can you share a brief overview of the book, The Test?
Great. The whole idea of writing the test, it was baited from series of trials, adversity, challenges that I personally went through in my own business journey as an entrepreneur. And the biggest motivation behind this book is that a lot of people share their story when they get to the top, to encourage aspiring entrepreneurs. So for me, I wanted to encourage aspiring entrepreneurs, established entrepreneurs, and even entrepreneurs who are looking to scale their business to the next level. Now, in the world of business, or rather in the world of entrepreneurship, nobody actually talks about the challenges, what it takes to actually start a business, grow a business, and obviously, scale that business. So I wanted to share that first, you're going to be tested. You're going to learn to convert your adversity, your pains, your struggles into becoming an overcoming entrepreneur. Because one of the things about business is that when you're trying to start a business, it is not hard. It is not easy to start a business in the first place. It's not also easy to grow a business. You see, becoming successful is usually the easiest part, right? But maintaining success is usually the most difficult part.
That's the most
and
difficult
this is
part.
the reason why I wrote the test.
Okay, so that's what inspired you.
Yes.
Now, that means you're the main character in this book.
It's a book that has been written from me being the actual case study.
Okay.
So I share my journey, how I am transitioning from just an ordinary person to extraordinary person as a practical example for other entrepreneurs who are at the growing or scaling phase of their business, especially to learn to build a business into 7 figures.
Okay, so some of the challenges you shared in the book, is it location based? Is it in the UK or in Nigeria? Because you're bringing it down to your country. So, usually the case study is Nigeria.
Yes.
So I need you to share some of the challenges you encountered in your business that you shared in the book in the UK and that of Nigeria.
Fantastic. So, yes, the challenges that we face as entrepreneurs once in a while in our lifetime, we usually don't understand the impact it has in our financial, in our business, in our financial growth. So for me, one of the challenges that I faced, was graduating from school, University of Benin, then completely relocating back to England. Completely leaving Nigeria and then going to England in search of a greener pasture. Right. I mean, in today's world now, a lot of people are jackbarring out of Nigeria. But way back in 20 years ago, there was no such word of jackbar.
Yeah, exactly.
For example, when we left the country 20 years ago, we had the inspiration to go and to come back. And if you ask me that question today, I'm not too very sure if I want to come back home except maybe a miracle has to happen, right?
Okay.
Because the Nigeria we left 20 years ago has actually gone worse than the Nigerian we have today. And the fact is that Nigeria can be better for business. Nigeria can be better for anything at all because we have the largest number of people in Africa. In fact, in the whole world, Nigeria has the biggest population of black people in existence, right? So at the end of the day, I left Nigeria, wanted to go live in the UK, get into the UK in search of a greener pasture. What we heard by people that left before us, that if you arrive in England, things are going to just work automatically, very well, easily. But that wasn't the case. We had to do different types of linear jobs. Arriving in the UK, we had to clean the streets, we had to wash the toilets, and then transitioning from that to obviously going into selling, buying things, in the UK and shipping them to Nigeria. So things like picking up fridges that were broken in the streets, all these used stuff and shipping them back to Nigeria to sell, selling them as not tested in Ladipo market, and all these different things. When going through that journey and that not also working for me, and obviously going back to the UK, setting up another business in internet cafe, and then relocating back to Nigeria, getting into oil and gas, losing over £150,000 in
Yes,
2015.
I was coming to it because I read that.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, how did you survive that? £150,000 is a lot of money.
How did I survive that? This is where the spirit of the entrepreneur here is bettered, isn't it?
Yes.
Because from time to time, as an entrepreneur, you are literally a creator. You know, you have to think, you have to create, you have to have ideas, you have to have resilience, and you have to day in, day out, not stopping, which is the actual true Nigerian spirit.
Yes.
The true Nigerian spirit, no matter how hard as it is, we always come
We
out.
always, of course, pick up our bags and we start all over.
Exactly. And the fact is, if we had an enabling environment, if we have an enabling institutions that can actually support that boy child, that girl child entrepreneurial spirit, and there are fundings that are available, or there are coaching and mentorships that are available, people can actually do bigger business. And actually, Nigeria is a country that can give birth to billionaires every day, just like that, because we have the manpower. If I wanted to, you know, from the very young age, I wanted to be very successful in business. I wanted to be a very successful entrepreneur. But the level of time and work is taking me to get to where I am. If I got the right mentorship from a very young age, you know, maybe by now I would be sitting on a multi-billion pound empire, and to obviously, you know, empower others. So I went on a self-discovery after losing £150,000, and I realized, like, these things I could have learned.
Yes.
You know, when we're starting businesses, there are things that we shouldn't have done. You know, we shouldn't have done that you then end up doing that loses you money.
Yes.
But these conversations are things that should be have more than enough. All right, so that people can learn, and not just starting business for the sake of starting a business, but step-by-step guides on how to actually manage, run a business, scale a business, and obviously, you know, take your business to a thriving stage.
Okay, so I just want to digress a little, then we'll come back to the book. Now, the kind of educational system we have in Nigeria is that to administer, not to produce. I have a friend whose child in China goes to the normal conventional school, then he goes to another school. This school, this is where they learn to create. They put your child in class, they study, there's science, there's art, there's a lot of things in the classroom. And they tend to study the child to see which aspect the child develops interest in.
Yes.
And they pick it up from there. You see a little baby putting items together. They know this one, they put him in robotic science or something.
Yeah.
Now, that school is even more expensive than the normal school they go to. But we don't have here in Nigeria.
Yeah.
What do you think the government can do about that?
You know, a child being analyzed on what their skills can be or what they can actually become. Even before we get into that, I think we need to take a few steps backward.
Okay.
You know, there in England where I live, there's something called apprenticeship. All right,
Okay.
and massive establishments they offer it. There's something also called work experiences, for example. So when your child, you know, get to a certain level in secondary school, they go and work, all right, for like 2 weeks in an establishment to gain some level of work experience.
Okay, we call that industrial internship here in Nigeria.
Okay.
Industrial training.
Industrial training. IT or
IT,
something.
yes.
Okay. Normally IT, you do ITs in university, correct? Not
Yes.
even secondary
It's for
school.
universities.
Exactly. So I'm talking about secondary school now.
Yeah.
Then when you graduate from secondary school, you can actually go and you know gain an apprenticeship under an established environment, so you can learn business skills, right? So these are things that Nigeria can actually even do without even thinking about this. So, you know, even having a special school that a child needs to go to learn these things. But what needs to happen is that businesses needs to be empowered in such a way where they can create a conducive environment for example, you know, work experience can be provided to children who are leaving school.
Okay.
That's number one. And number two is also being able to offer apprenticeship to businesses. So businesses being able to offer apprenticeship to those who are leaving secondary school before actually getting into university, so that they can actually gain those skills. Because the actual Nigerian, the Nigerian boy and Nigerian child, female, they understand entrepreneurship from the get-go. The corner shop says recharge cards. The corner shop says akara.
Yeah.
You know, the other one sells water. You know, all these different things happens in Nigeria. But if we are able to literally birth entrepreneurship through this kind of process where people can actually learn it's not just about the money, it's also gaining a skill that in future you can actually grow and impact, your own local community.
Now, what is the most compelling aspect of this book that you feel sets it apart from every other book that's in the same genre out there?
Well, the first thing first is that in this book, if you go through the entire chapters of the book, you will see a journey that is being taught.
Okay.
All right, and one of the things I needed to establish to any business that is looking to grow was that pain is part of the process. Embrace it. Challenge is part of the process. Embrace it. Identify where you are now and where you want to go. Because sometimes when we get to those breaking points where we're going through a lot of adversity, we often think, what have we really done wrong that is causing why we're failing in business? And we start to think otherwise. So for me, what I'm sharing in this book is that, listen, things takes time. All right? Aliko Dangote did not become Nigeria's most wealthiest person in 5-10 years.
Of course.
But I think it's, being able to teach that, let's start destroying instant gratification and work on delayed gratification, because things takes time to grow. And this is one of the things entrepreneurs need to know, that okay, you're going to start a business today. Your business is not just going to shoot overnight to becoming a multi-million pound business or a multi-billion pound business. So pushing through your pain, you're going to go through adversity of your personal self, and then obviously understanding that there is other side of pain in business, which can be personal, which can also be business, and as well as you have to learn to prepare yourself for growth, and as well as setting yourself up to win, which is goal setting. You have to have goals that are driven by your desire, your passion as a business person, and as well as embracing the entrepreneurial spirit of not quitting, because the only way to never succeed in business is when you quit.
Yes.
And everything we've ever wanted is on the other side of fear, is on the other side of growth. But are you prepared to delay the gratification, have a set goals plan to become the greatest version of yourself so you can actually lead a business? So this is one of the few things in the book that actually sets a lot of the other books apart. And besides, it's a living case study.
Yeah. I want you to share a few thoughts to a young chap or lady or an old person watching the show right now who has definitely failed in business and don't. I know some businesses have gotten into, and I'm like, okay, let's look for another. So, and with the present economic situation, what's your word, your advice to people out there?
Well, I mean, with the present challenge that the country currently faces, where subsidy has just been removed, and which is a huge impact on those who are basically depending on fuel, not just to run their businesses by car, they need for their business, or even to run, the small little generator. And now, when you used to spend 10,000 naira on a weekly basis to fuel your car or fuel your generator for your business, and now you can't do that anymore. You think the world is gone, it's gone insane, and you can't run that business anymore. It's important for you to improvise, and because the lifestyle, the mindset, the drive of entrepreneur is to recreate all the time. So this is where people need to just reinvent the wheel. Because one of the things I've done in my journey was when I lost over 150,000 pounds, I had to reinvent the wheel. I had to reinvent myself. So do not let the economical challenge that is in front of you to basically destroy your aspirations, your desire, and your dreams. And it's all about developing yourself, because if you do develop yourself, we live in a world where there's social media now, right? Media happens to be one of the easiest way that can transform anybody's business. So use social media for growth. Use connecting with the right people. Be very intentional about your business. All right, intentionality can actually even drive more income. I know the country is really tough and hard, and some of these principles I'm talking about might seem absolutely impossible. This is one of the reasons why you need to reach outside, to the exterior, all right, to driving those income in. This is a time for Nigerians entrepreneurs to go back to, not school, but go back to study.
Okay.
Go back to study, read.
Okay.
Go back to study, develop yourself as an entrepreneur. Go back to using tools that are available out there to grow your business. It's not just Nigeria that's going crazy. I come from a country right now that is going through recession, going through hiking interest rates.
Yes.
But that does not mean it's the end of the world. As an entrepreneur, you just have to be someone who's able to reinvent and restructure and rebirth your business and yourself at every given point in time.
Thank you very much, Doctor. If I leave you, I'm just going to talk for the whole of the 1 hour of the show. Thanks for coming on the show. And we do hope when next year in the country, you stop by on the show to come talk about entrepreneurship.
Not a problem at all.
And how to make money. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Right. Our guest has been Dr. Daniel Moses. And just like he said, in business, in entrepreneurship, there is pain. Pain is part of the process. So don't give up, don't pack up the bags yet. Like he said, reinvent yourself. And definitely don't give up. All right, that's all we have for you on the book review segment. The show continues with Chris Akwaranado. Stay tuned.